A Guide to the Good Life, The Ancient Art of Stoic Joy by William B. Irvine, 2008. Part 1. The Rise of Stoicism. Philosophy in the ancient world was not merely an intellectual exercise, but a way of life, a discipline designed to transform how one lived. You will encounter the philosophical schools that competed for adherents in Athens and Rome, each offering its own prescription for happiness. Among these schools, Stoicism would emerge as one of the most enduring and practical, providing tools for navigating life's difficulties that remain relevant 2,000 years later. You are about to discover a philosophy that was never meant to be studied, but to be lived, a set of practices rather than mere doctrines. Zeno of Citium founded Stoicism after surviving a shipwreck that destroyed his livelihood. He wandered into a bookshop in Athens, discovered the writings of Socrates, and asked the bookseller where such men could be found. The bookseller pointed to the philosopher Crates passing by, and Zeno became his student. From these humble beginnings, Zeno developed a philosophy that would attract followers from all walks of life, from the slave Epictetus to the emperor Marcus Aurelius. You will find that Stoicism speaks to every human condition, because its founders came from every station of life. The Stoics divided philosophy into three disciplines: physics, logic, and ethics. Physics examined the nature of the universe, logic provided tools for clear reasoning, and ethics showed how to live in accordance with nature. For the Stoics, these three branches were not separate but interconnected. Understanding the cosmos revealed how humans should live within it. The ultimate goal was not abstract knowledge but practical wisdom, a life of virtue and tranquility that you can begin cultivating today. Stoicism shared the philosophical stage with several rivals. Epicureanism taught that pleasure was the highest good, but by pleasure the Epicureans meant not wild hedonism, but simple living and freedom from anxiety. Skepticism questioned whether certain knowledge was possible at all, advocating suspension of judgment. Cynicism rejected all social conventions, living like dogs in the streets. Each school offered a path to happiness, but the Stoics argued that their path was the most reliable and dignified, a claim you will be in a position to evaluate by the end of this journey. The Stoics believed that the universe was governed by a rational principle they called logos. To live in accordance with nature meant to live in accordance with reason, accepting the order of the cosmos and one's place within it. This did not mean passive resignation, but active engagement with life, recognizing what lay within one's control and what did not. The Stoic sage was not emotionless, but experienced healthy emotions while remaining free from destructive passions, a state of being that you too might attain through practice. Part 2. Stoic Psychological Techniques. You will now encounter the most powerful of all Stoic psychological techniques, the negative visualization. By regularly contemplating the loss of the things you value, your health, your loved ones, your possessions, you learn to appreciate them more deeply while they remain. The Stoics understood that humans adapt quickly to whatever they have, taking for granted what once brought joy. Negative visualization counteracts this hedonic adaptation, transforming ordinary existence into something precious. Try it today. Imagine your life without something you currently take for granted, and notice how your appreciation for it deepens. Seneca advised his friend Lucilius to live each day as if it were a complete life, a practice that transforms ordinary moments into occasions for gratitude. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself each morning that he would meet difficult people during the day, preparing himself to respond with patience rather than anger. Epictetus taught his students to distinguish between what they could control, their judgments, choices, and desires, and what they could not, their health, wealth, and reputation. This distinction forms the foundation of Stoic psychological practice, and you can begin applying it to your own life immediately. The trichotomy of control refines Epictetus's famous dichotomy, adding a third category: things over which you have some but not complete control. In aiming for a target, The archer can control his preparation and technique, but cannot control the wind or the flight of the arrow. The wise person focuses on doing everything within his power, while remaining detached from outcomes. This attitude brings peace in the face of uncertainty and protects you against disappointment when external factors intervene. Consider where in your life you are obsessing about outcomes rather than focusing on what you can actually control. Fatalism, properly understood, was not a counsel of passivity, but a technique for living in the present. The Stoics advised accepting the past as unchangeable and the future as uncertain, directing energy only toward the present moment. By embracing what has already happened with equanimity, you conserve emotional resources for effective action now. This is not resignation, but liberation from regret and anxiety, freeing your mind to engage fully with what lies before it. You have nothing to gain from fighting what cannot be changed, and everything to gain from accepting it gracefully. Self-denial practices strengthen your resistance to luxury and misfortune. Seneca recommended periodically living as if poor, eating simple food and wearing rough clothing to prepare yourself for possible hardship. Musonius Rufus argued that luxury weakened character, while voluntary discomfort built resilience. These practices are not punishments, but training exercises, building the psychological muscles you need to face life's inevitable difficulties with grace. You might try this yourself. Give up something comfortable for a day, and notice how it changes your relationship to your ordinary comforts. Meditation and self-examination formed the daily discipline of Stoic practice. Seneca reviewed each evening the events of the day, noting where he had failed and where he had succeeded. Marcus Aurelius wrote his meditations not for publication, but for himself, reminding himself of Stoic principles. This constant reflection keeps philosophical insights alive, transforming abstract doctrines into lived reality. You could adopt this practice yourself. Spend a few minutes each evening reviewing your day, noting where you responded well and where you might improve. Part 3. Stoic Advice and Practical Wisdom. The Stoics offered a distinctive approach to social relations, balancing engagement with detachment. Seneca advised befriending those who could improve you, while recognizing that even the best friends will sometimes disappoint. Epictetus reminded his students that in social situations, they could control their own judgments, but not the behavior of others. The Stoic cultivates friendships while preparing for loss, loving fully, but not clinging. You will find that this attitude deepens rather than diminishes your relationships, removing the desperate neediness that often poisons human connection. Handling insults and criticism requires Stoic discipline. When someone insults you, Epictetus taught, consider whether the insult contains truth. If it does, you should be grateful for the correction, and if it does not, the insult reveals more about the insulter than about you. Seneca observed that insults can only harm if you allow them to, and that responding with humor or indifference disarms the attacker. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that he need not have an opinion about every provocation that comes his way. Next time someone insults you, pause before reacting and ask whether this judgment might serve you better. Grief and loss test Stoic philosophy severely. The Stoics did not advocate eliminating grief, but moderating it, recognizing that intense sorrow serves no purpose and prolongs suffering unnecessarily. Seneca, writing to console a grieving mother, acknowledged the reality of her pain while gently reminding her that her son had lived a good life and that excessive mourning dishonored his memory. The Stoic allows himself to feel loss but refuses to be overwhelmed by it. When you experience loss, remember that grief is natural, but that you can choose how much of yourself you surrender to it. Anger was the passion the Stoics analyzed most thoroughly, recognizing its destructive power. Seneca devoted an entire treatise to anger, arguing that it was a temporary madness that clouded judgment and damaged relationships. The angry person punishes himself first, suffering the torment of rage before any harm reaches its target. The wise person responds to injustice not with anger, but with calm correction, addressing problems without becoming consumed by them. The next time you feel anger rising, notice what it does to your body and mind, and ask whether this response serves your deeper interests. Fame and ambition present special dangers for the Stoic. Epictetus warned that seeking the approval of others enslaves you to their opinions, making your happiness dependent on forces beyond your control. Marcus Aurelius, despite being emperor, reminded himself that fame was empty, that those who sought it would soon be forgotten. The Stoic pursues excellence not for recognition, but for its own sake, finding satisfaction in worthy action regardless of applause. Consider what you would do with your life if no one would ever know about it. That is what you truly value. Wealth and poverty raise questions about the good life that the Stoics addressed with nuance. They did not condemn wealth itself, but warned against attachment to it, noting that the rich person who fears losing wealth suffers more than the poor person who has nothing to lose. Musonius Rufus argued that wealth should be used virtuously to help others and support worthy causes. The Stoic can enjoy prosperity while remaining prepared for poverty, holding possessions lightly. Examine your own relationship with money. Do you possess it, or does it possess you? Part 4. Stoicism for Modern Life. The modern world presents unique challenges to which Stoic practices can be fruitfully applied. Consumer culture encourages endless desire, promising happiness through acquisition while delivering only temporary satisfaction. The Stoic practice of negative visualization counteracts this by cultivating appreciation for what you already have. The trichotomy of control helps you distinguish between what advertising can deliver and what lies beyond its power, freeing you from the endless pursuit of external validation. You can begin today to question each desire as it arises. Is this something you truly need, or merely something you have been trained to want? Modern media bombards you with information about events beyond your control, creating anxiety and outrage that serve no purpose. The Stoic distinction between what you control and what you do not helps filter this information, directing your attention only to what can be affected. News of distant disasters, political controversies, and celebrity scandals become what Epictetus called externals, matters about which the wise person refuses to form opinions. This selective attention preserves your tranquility for meaningful action. Consider how much of your mental energy is consumed by matters you cannot influence, and what you might do with that energy instead. Social media amplifies ancient human tendencies toward comparison and status seeking, creating new forms of anxiety that the Stoics diagnosed long ago. The desire for likes and followers is a modern version of the craving for fame that Epictetus warned against. Marcus Aurelius's reminder that the approval of others is beyond your control becomes a tool for liberation from digital validation. The Stoic uses social media deliberately as a tool for connection rather than being used by it. Look honestly at your own social media habits. Do they serve you, or do you serve them? Work and career present opportunities for Stoic practice in the modern world. The trichotomy of control helps you distinguish between effort, which you control, and outcomes, which you do not. The Stoic works diligently while remaining detached from promotion, recognition, and success. This attitude paradoxically increases your effectiveness, freeing you from the anxiety that impairs performance. The workplace becomes a gymnasium for virtue, a place to practice patience, fairness, and cooperation. The next time you face a work challenge, focus entirely on what you can contribute and release your attachment to how it will be received. Relationships in the modern world benefit from Stoic wisdom about love and loss. The practice of negative visualization transforms ordinary moments with loved ones into occasions for gratitude. Preparing for loss does not diminish love but deepens it, removing the complacency that takes others for granted. When loss inevitably comes, Stoic training provides resources for grief that neither denies pain nor succumbs to it. Today, look at someone you love and imagine your life without them, not to dwell in sadness, but to awaken appreciation for their presence now. Aging and mortality, universal human concerns, receive distinctive Stoic treatment. Seneca argued that old age should be welcomed as a release from youthful passions and an opportunity for philosophical reflection. Epictetus taught that death was nothing to fear, since it could only take what was already borrowed. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that he had lived long enough, that each day was a gift, and that readiness to die was the foundation of meaningful life. Your own mortality, faced honestly, can become not a source of dread, but a call to live fully now. Part 5. The Stoic Legacy. You will now trace the influence of Stoicism through Western history, seeing how its insights permeated unexpected places. Early Christianity absorbed Stoic ethical teachings through figures like Paul, who quoted Stoic poets, and later through the Church Fathers who admired Seneca. Thomas Aquinas integrated Stoic natural law theory into Catholic moral theology, passing Stoic concepts to medieval philosophy. The Renaissance rediscovered Stoic texts, and figures like Montaigne and Justus Lipsius revived Stoic practice for early modern Europe. You are part of a long tradition of seekers who have found wisdom in these ancient texts. Modern psychotherapy has independently rediscovered Stoic insights, particularly in cognitive behavioral therapy. Albert Ellis's rational emotive behavior therapy directly acknowledged its debt to Epictetus, teaching patients to examine and revise the beliefs that cause their suffering. Aaron Beck's cognitive therapy similarly focused on identifying and challenging distorted thinking. The Stoic insight that emotions follow judgments, that you are disturbed not by events but by your opinions about events, forms the foundation of these effective treatments. You have access to therapeutic wisdom that has been tested for 2 millennia. Stoicism offers a distinctive answer to the question of life's meaning. Unlike existentialism, which finds meaning in authentic choice against an absurd universe, Stoicism discovers meaning in cosmic belonging, in the recognition that you play a necessary role in the rational order of nature. Unlike religious answers that depend on revelation, Stoic meaning arises from reason itself, from understanding your place in the whole. The Stoic finds purpose in virtue, in living according to nature, in contributing to the common good of rational beings. This meaning is available to you here and now, regardless of your circumstances. The practice of Stoicism requires commitment and discipline, but offers rewards that justify the effort. Stoic joy is not the ecstatic happiness of manic celebration, but a deep, stable contentment that persists through changing circumstances. It is the joy of the well-lived life, of integrity maintained, of tranquility preserved against all that fortune can throw against it. This joy is available to anyone willing to undertake the discipline, regardless of wealth, status, or external circumstances. You are now invited to begin your own Stoic practice today, starting with simple exercises that yield immediate benefits. Negative visualization can be practiced in moments of waiting, transforming impatience into gratitude. The trichotomy of control can be applied to whatever currently troubles you, distinguishing what you can change from what you must accept. Seneca's evening meditation can be adapted as a few minutes of reflection before sleep. These small practices, consistently applied, will gradually transform your relationship to life, opening the possibility of Stoic joy. The philosophy is ancient, but the opportunity to live it is present in this very moment. To show love and appreciation, like, share, and subscribe.